Hi, guys, and welcome to one of my broadcasts again. Just start out with the usual form of saying thanks very much for all of the support and all of the subscriptions that's been happening, all of the lovely feedback. And I think I'm onto something with these little stories and snippets. And plus, to be honest with you, I find them quite cathartic as well when I have a head full of thoughts and I start to write things down and find a way of clearing out any debris around me. Yesterday was particularly difficult for me because I was struggling a bit in my mindset. I'm not quite sure why. I couldn't place why. I felt really low in energy and a little bit lackluster with things. Today I've got up, I'm still tired. There's still that sort of energetic hangover from how much effort I've put into things recently. But my whole point of doing these sort of things is to help other people get over those barriers and over those hurdles and realize that even though you do get low energy days and you do get sticking points and blockages in your pathway, then there's always the next day to consider to help you get past. I've looked at through my recordings and had a look to see how I can improve, how I can come across in the right way. And I've just decided, right, just keep it natural. People will either understand you or you won't. So this one today is not actually from Graceful Thoughts. It was written a couple of years ago. So I've decided with this one that what I will do is I will read through the majority of it, but I will also bring it up to date where I feel that it's necessary. My channel is all about helping people through difficulties as well as promoting the spiritual side. And this is a technique and a strategy that I've used throughout my readings, throughout my guidance, soul guidance, which is for anybody watching for the first time. Soul guidance is all about reaching you at a deeper level, helping you know you better, listening to your vocabulary, listening to the way that you talk about yourself, what your expectations are, what your actual toolkit is, and also using intuition and any other spiritual tools that I've got to hand. This one's called Reflection of You. Now, it's been a while since I jotted down my thoughts, and a lot has happened in the meantime. One thing that hasn't changed is my observational style of writing and looking for guidance from my everyday occurrences. My inspiration for today's musings is from two songs. One, Roller Coaster by Ronan Keating, and two, which does surprise me a little as I'm not a fan of his, is My Way by Frank Sinatra. The song Roller Coaster gives the lyrics, life is a roller coaster, you've just got to ride it. Well, I've got to say, friends, recent events in my life have proven these lyrics to be true. I have really ridden the emotional roller coaster over the last few months. Some spectacular highs and some very sad moments that inevitably we all have to face at some point or another in our lives. But let's remember this, positives first, then the not so great moments. The highs have been amazing, and I can now proudly say that I'm a published author. I finished my book titled Graceful Thoughts. I have made new friends and experienced spiritual connections on a level that I previously haven't. The togetherness was brought about with people who had a like-minded approach to each other's people's well-being, and despite restriction, it was a success and to me a magical experience that won't soon be forgotten. My restrictions in all of this have always been in my own mindset, so I challenge them regularly. Life can be a great leveler as it tends to move very quickly between the highs and lows as we wend our way along life's pathways. I had the crushing loss of my father-in-law to contend with. He passed away peacefully after a long illness. And even in those dark moments, though, I took solace in the happier times that we had spent together, and I will always feel eternally grateful for all that he's taught me about life. I also took a few bumps in regards to feedback from people about my work. And I want to note to anybody reading or listening to this who has ever started a sentence with the words, I hope you won't be offended by this, there is a high chance that you have considered that the receiver will be. Oh, life does make me chuckle at times. I will say this, though. mediumship, tarot reading is not an exact science, and it is your perception that makes a reading either good or bad. To all the learners out there, don't beat yourself up about the odd negative comment. Life is amazing in its contrasts, and these difficult times have inspired me to write. Notice what I did there. I turned a potential negativity into a positive outcome. So it's all about shifting your mindset and your mind frame. Key for me in writing anything uplifting or potentially spiritually inspiring to people to come out of a dark place is to be honest and frank. Life can sometimes be difficult as we have to face the harsh realities of it on a daily basis. The important thing is, however, is the way that we respond. Do we face it or do we run and hide? Do we label ourselves depressed or in a low mood? Or could it simply be that we're in a disillusioned state of mind? I asked my spiritual team for further guidance and was given the word malaise. I'm not the cleverest of people, so I had to go and look that one up. So not being familiar with this word, I turned to the dictionary. A general feeling of discomfort, illness, restlessness, or unease, whose exact cause is difficult to identify. Now, I really had something to get my head round in a low mood without any reason why. So yesterday's occurrences, when I was in quite a low mood and feeling quite flat, I had to look around for the root cause, couldn't find one. So I reverted to type. Some days you just get those days that they're just meh. And I describe it as meh because there's no real logic to it. There's no real reasoning for it. And those sort of days just have to be got through, dealt with, navigated, negotiated with, and still keep up some level of productivity. The therapist in me likes to devise strategies. And one that I devise for thoughts is to give them form. I can then place them in the palm of my hand and see what they're composed of. And if there's a problem, I can deconstruct it. Your biggest ally ever, guys, is the person who looks back at you in the mirror. And they should always be the first port of call for information regarding you. They have experienced the highs and lows that you have. Ask a question of them and expect to get an honest answer. I slow my breathing down. Breathe deeply. Close my mind to the racing thoughts, down to a slower pace. We breathe. I slow the picture down even more. I slow the breathing down even more. A picture will then start to form. I am shown talking to a client. I understand the reference straight away. My healing comes from this moment of clarity. When I work with clients who have experienced feelings of low self-esteem, low self-confidence, possibly a lack of self-awareness, or even just feelings of inadequacy, I ask them to take my quiz. Nobody to date has said no, even though there might be initial reluctance. And I'll assure them that they will pass because I will make sure that happens. Hundreds of people, literally hundreds now, have taken my quiz and realised after what a wonderful therapeutic tool it is. The quiz consists of 3 questions. So, are you ready? Sitting comfortably. Here goes. Question 1. I want you to think very, very broadly out into the universe and the world at large. Is there anybody that is exactly like you? The answer is no. We are individual, therefore the conclusion reached is that we're all unique. Question 1, answered correctly. Ooh, bit of pressure off now. Question 2, would you agree or disagree that we have skills and talents that get us through any given day? Reassure at this point not to think too much into this, as the answer is quite simple. The answer is quite simply yes, because wherever you are, when the quiz is in progress, you have had to make time or do things to make yourself available. Think getting dressed, driving, and other considerations. Despite some initial process, the only acceptable answer is always yes, as you have so many skills that you use in a day that you just don't even consider them. They don't just happen, do they? Let's recap. Somebody who has initially presented as, let's say, lacking confidence has admitted to a stranger, A, that they're unique, and B, that they are talented and skilled. Both answers are evidence-based and using the client's own words. Well done, that is question 2 successfully answered. Question 3 will tie it all together, trust me. When I say that we're heading towards an epiphany moment, that's what I mean. Consider this for a while. I have nothing to compare myself to. I am a one-off and I can't put value on myself because there isn't anything like me for comparison. Logically, the conclusion that must be drawn is that I am, as a person, priceless. The answer is again correct. And well done, you've passed the test with flying colours. All answers are based on evidence using the client's words, albeit being slightly led by yours truly. Now, the epiphany moment that I promised earlier. So let's put it all together. I am the client in this case. My answers are, number 1, unique, number 2, talented, and number 3, priceless. If a client that has answered there, maybe some confusion is there still about, don't quite get the process. So I add a little bit of dialogue and a bit of showbiz. I reach down into my bag of imaginary props and I pull out a collapsible mirror and then say, repeat your answers to that reflection of you in the mirror. I have to say that the effect on the client is usually brilliant as you observe the penny dropping that you are unique, talented, and priceless. You are talking to yourself. You are as good and as confident as you allow yourself to be. Tell yourself things that don't reflect the true you, and you will embody that negative mindset. I had my own realization at that point that what I had told many, many people to look at was now staring me right in the face. Lead by example. And that was point taken. And that was a big awareness moment for myself. The reality of life is that it can be difficult and we will make mistakes because we're human. Personally, I take responsibility for all of my parts and embrace them all, even the flaws. In my own unique way, I have the skills and the talents to find solutions to problems. And because of this, I am priceless. Believe me when I say that the irony is not lost on me. My conclusion is the average person will easily find fault with themselves. The biggest skill is selling yourself to that person in the mirror, that you are a good person. You can and do make a difference in life because you have the skill set. When we can do this, we have reached a destination of acceptance. What can we learn from this acceptance is that nobody is perfect. Face any insecurities head on and be honest about it, no excuses. Be proud to be you because you're all amazing. And I will leave with the last words to Frank Sinatra, even though I'm not his fan. I just thought that this summed up my headspace at the time and also embodies after yesterday's experiences today in 2023 as I read this out to you. If not himself, then he has naught to say the things he truly feels and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and I did it my way. So what I want to say with that, at the end of that article I wrote, keep shining and much love out to you. So even if you're going through a flat day, a difficult day, assuming that we get up tomorrow morning, we can have another go and we can change things around. It's just a few thoughts. It's still not fluent. It's still not quite running quite the way that I want to be. But if you'd have seen whereabouts I was yesterday, headspace wise, very flat. But what I'm learning as I go along with all of this, learning the technology, learning the techniques, learning how to put myself across in this life, is that there is no such thing as perfection. So there will be days where I get up flat, but instead of sitting in that moment, I look for any element of productivity. I will take a break. I will take that step back and evaluate what's going on around me. Because aside from the spiritual, a very big part of me is being analytical. But I have to communicate with myself and look at how I'm projecting myself, because the one thing that I always want to do is lead by example. How am I going to do that? Well, I consider my 3 questions. Who am I? Well, I'm unique because there's only one me. There's only one me that can deliver in the way that I do. I've got my skills and talents. And yesterday I had to look deeper for them, but my way of involving people, my way of communicating, my way of bringing in humor and upliftment gives me those talents. And I am the only one that can deliver it in that way. There is not another person like me that will be able to deliver it in that way. So therefore I am priceless. And how would you treat a priceless object? Just give this some thought, guys. Would you throw it around? Would you bully it? Would you belittle it? Would you waste time saying negative things about yourself? Would you imagine throwing a priceless vase to the ground? No, of course you wouldn't. You'd nourish it. You'd look after it. You'd treasure it. You'd maintain it in the best possible way, so that it functioned at the highest level. Think of yourself as that vase, that handbag, that car, that unique one-off thing, because you are, and treat yourself accordingly. So my last words on this are, if you've managed to get this far into the sort of 17 minutes, which this will be once it's finished, I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate your support. And hopefully, like I say, it will reach 1 or 2 people. So as I end this recording, I send out my love, my best wishes to you, to all you guys out there, subscribed and future subscribers. Thank you from the Urban Angel, spiritual medium, and psychic, and all of the other labels that I've labeled myself with.